The ocean is home to some of the world's most amazing fauna and flora. These include turtles, sharks, fish, coral, birds, seals, and many more. About 80% of all the globe's biodiversity lives in the ocean. There are so many species known, however, there are millions of unnamed species lying on the ocean floors still waiting to be discovered. Although all these large aquatic species are important, the most important are the smaller species, the pteropod mollusks, foraminifera, and some benthic invertebrates, as well as zooplankton and phytoplankton. The role of phytoplankton in the global carbon cycle is to be the biological pump. Phytoplankton in the oceans absorb carbon dioxide from the seawater and converts this to carbon and oxygen through photosynthesis. The carbon dioxide dissolves in the seawater and is absorbed by phytoplankton. Once these plants have finished their life cycle and die, they will sink to the bottom of the ocean floor as ocean sediment. In this process, they remove large amounts of CO2 from the surface of the ocean, thus acting as a carbon sinker.
Today we are talking to Dr. Will Collins. Welcome. So Dr. Collins, how does increased atmospheric carbon dioxide acidify the oceans?
Carbon dioxide, CO2, is emitted to the atmosphere through anthropogenic factors, including through the combustion of fossil fuels, agriculture, and deforestation. The ocean plays a crucial role in the Earth's carbon cycle. As the quantity of carbon dioxide increases, so does the ocean's ability to absorb it. The carbon dioxide reacts with the seawater to form carbonic acid, thus causing the ocean to become more acidic as it lowers the pH units.
What is the carbon cycle and why is it important?
Carbon cycle is the exchange and alteration of carbon between living things in the environment. Carbon is one element that cannot be broken down into a finer substance. Others are oxygen, nitrogen, calcium, iron, and hydrogen. The amount of carbon in the atmosphere and on Earth is in a fixed amount. However, it is in a constant circulation, moving between living and inorganic things. The carbon is released through a series of steps through photosynthesis. Plants will take the carbon out from the atmosphere in exchange for oxygen. The CO2 is converted into compounds and used to make up the body of the plant life. Through the next step, the animals eat the plants and breathe in the oxygen, then exhaling the carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is then available for photosynthesis and the cycle starts over again. For those plants that are not eaten, they will eventually die and decompose, where the carbon will either go back into the atmosphere or stored in the soil. The carbon cycle is to all ecosystems and ultimately a very important phase. It is important for the life that the Earth supports. The carbon cycle is crucial to the food chain through regulation of nutrients.
The impact that the ocean acidification has to the marine environment is detrimental to the ecosystem. The expected biological effects to the increase of excess carbon dioxide vary in degree of the impact they may bring. As many aquatic organisms produce calcium carbonate shells, or skeletons, are negatively impacted by the increase in CO2. Some algae and seagrasses that rely off the photosynthetic process may be able to benefit from the higher concentration of CO2 in the ocean. Similarly to terrestrial plants, they require CO2 to live in the ocean. However, in the more acidic environmental conditions, there is a significant effect on some of the species that calcify. These include oysters, clams, sea urchins, corals, and planktons. As a result of the shelled organisms being in danger, this demonstrates that the whole ecosystem and food chain could be in danger. This would not just include the aquatic food chain. It would influence humans as well, with a loss of food biodiversity and income loss. Pteropods are a crucial food source as they feed organisms from the tiny shrimp to the giant whales. However, they are a key food source for the northern Pacific adolescent salmon. With the changing conditions, these pteropod shells will slowly degrade in about 45 days. It has been noted that both shallow and deep sea corals are being disrupted. Demonstrating that the changing acidity levels are likely to impact the coral's ability to bounce back from disturbances. The ocean acidification has been shown to reduce significantly the ability for reef building corals to produce their skeletons. The perspective that corals may erode quicker than they can be reformed will be detrimental to millions of species that are reliant on the reef habitat. This will severely impact the long-term ocean biodiversity. Decreasing the pH of the seawater results in a reduced availability of the essential metals, for example zinc and iron. This is an important consequence, as it is known that the regulation of iron and zinc in the ocean helps with phytoplankton. Therefore, if these metals are limited, the phytoplankton mass will be limited. Therefore, there is little they can do to help with regulation of the climate.
Ocean acidification is an emerging global issue. It is currently impossible to exactly predict how the ocean acidification will impact and cascade through the aquatic food chain and affect the overall ecosystem and biodiversity. With the current scientific research and uncertainty, it is foolish to be naive about the issue of ocean acidification. In regards to my research, I cannot ascertain that the marine phytoplankton will be able to continue to play a role in regulating the Earth's climate, as there is a myriad of factors that are still uncertain. However, with the increasing acidity of the oceans, it is unlikely that the plankton will be able to regulate the climate due to the impact that the pH has on the whole ecosystem. This is in regards to the excess bicarbonate in the ocean and the brittleness that the shell-producing organisms. Phytoplankton have short lifespans and are experiencing, and regulate through the generations quickly. They may have the ability to adapt to the acidic environment. However, the food chain will be disrupted due to other organisms taking longer to evolve. Without global awareness, it will be a grim future for our marine habitats. This is because as long as carbon dioxide levels are high due to the anthropogenic production rate, the phytoplankton will try to dissolve the CO2 in the ocean, making the aquatic environment more acidic. The outlook will be that the phytoplankton's ability to hold the CO2 could diminish, and the ability for them to store more carbon will be gone. This will basically start a domino effect, where the carbon dioxide levels will remain in the atmosphere, affecting the climate change directly. Although the phytoplankton is doing great things in reducing the quantity of carbon dioxide in the environment, it is not a logical way for the temperature of the Earth to be regulated.